Welcome to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. Over the past 20 years, I've worked in beauty, luxury, corporate, and service-driven industries. I created the opportunity in these careers and in my own businesses that allowed me to travel the world, experience once-in-a-lifetime events, and build brands while providing my expertise to clients all around the globe. Life is short, and when you're given a second chance, you better believe I'm going to take it, celebrate it, and share it with you. This show is intended to elevate your mind, upgrade your business, enhance your life, and become part of a positive and uplifting community. If you're ready to take your business and life to that next level you deserve to be at, this is the show for you. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today. Tune in every week to hear from myself, other entrepreneurs, professional patients, small business owners, and fellow podcasters who will be featured on the show. I'm here to remind you to work hard, share your story, follow your dreams, and never, ever give up. Thanks for taking the time to subscribe to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. Today's episode starts now. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new show. Happy Friday. I have the windows open. It's very early. It's 7-something. I have the candles going. I just had to set like my whole morning vibe situation, and that's just like what keeps me sane. I'm drinking my delicious iced coffee because we all know I can't survive without that. However, I did switch it up a little bit today. I did unsweetened almond milk without the vanilla, which I normally do, and now I'm using vanilla stevia from Sprouts, which is a store here in California that I'm obsessed with. If you guys live in California and have a Sprouts, they have the least inexpensive and the best quality, in my opinion, organic produce. But anyway, I wanted to share with you guys, so I did an episode on self-care and my vertigo and all of that, but I actually am merging it into this episode for you. So I want to talk to you about, I'm talking to a lot of clients and I'm talking to a lot of friends, and I notice it with myself, like we're just trying to do the most throughout this pandemic at this point. And, in the beginning, we thought the world was going to end. We were stockpiling, and then we were scared. And I'm just really sharing with you how I felt. And then, we realized like the world's not going to end. So now we try to get back to like a quote unquote, like normal life, right? So now we realize like we don't want to leave this pandemic without getting shit done. And so for me, I'm trying to get a lot done, but we still have to take time for ourselves and still do self-care and all of these things. So I want to share with you what happened to me 2 weeks ago, and then things that I'm doing now that I'm going to look back and be so proud of myself. And I suggest you do the same if you haven't started already. So 2 weeks ago today, I recorded a show. I had therapy, which I do every Friday, and I was prepping my juices, something, or a soup or stir fry or something. And I was in the kitchen. That's my happy place. And out of nowhere, I got vertigo. And it was so awful. I almost got sick in the sink. I had to immediately come to my bed. I Googled a vertigo meditation. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word for a minute because it's all I do every day. Not all day, but a lot. And I actually was in bed for like almost 4 hours, you guys. It was awful. And I hadn't had vertigo like that in a really long time. And this vertigo meditation really worked. I posted it all over my social media. So if anybody saw it, I hope it helped if you get vertigo. I've never really had to do that. When I get vertigo, I have to sit up or be at a 90-degree angle on my left side only. I can't look to the right. I can't be on my right side. Nothing can be on the right because it's the left ear that is giving me the problems. So, and I get it for a number of reasons. So stress is one. Detoxing from a lot of meds still from last year is another. And salt. But the reason, I know I got it that week was because I've been working really hard on my legal cases, and that stresses me the F out sometimes. This week, it didn't, because I had to shift my mindset. Oh my God, it's like I have allergies. I'm losing my voice. Sorry. And it's just so annoying at this point. So I'll get into a little bit of that later. However, the vertigo was so rough. So I just was like nauseous. I was in bed for, like I said, like I think it was like 3 or 4 hours. I had this vertigo meditation on replay. It was on repeat rather. It was about an hour or so, and I just couldn't move. And I've already spoken about how this whole pandemic and in the beginning, how I was stuck at home. I couldn't go anywhere. I felt like I was sick again. Like all these triggers were happening, and I have a lot of PTSD and trauma I'm working through from like being misdiagnosed. So that was like really rough. Like I couldn't sleep for months. I was just so like stressed out and anxious, and I was having panic attacks a lot, and now I'm a completely different person. I now have this sleep elixir that's all natural. I've actually slept every night solid for a week now. And it's insane, like how much better I feel like a human again. I literally haven't slept like proper sleep this whole pandemic since it started until last week, which is nuts. So if you guys are having trouble sleeping and you're looking for some natural remedies, let me know, because I have a friend and she's creating all these skincare products that are all organic, and there's herbs, and I have elixirs, and I've talked a lot about it on my Instagram stories. And they're amazing. And it's literally the only thing that helped. I just put in another order for like 8 bottles for 4 of my friends. So let me know. I can't use melatonin because when you have a thyroid issue, it actually cuts your thyroid meds in half. And I found that out like 10, 12 years ago when I saw an endocrinologist for my thyroid, and we couldn't figure out why my meds weren't working. And down the road, we realized after doing labs and all that, he asked me, is there any chance like you take melatonin? And I'm like, yeah, I take it every night. He's like, oh my God, that's the reason. So now I know I can't take melatonin. So the whole point of this episode is to share with you how you need to accomplish things, but also at the same time, take time for yourself with a ton of self-care. And by that, I mean just being still. So back to my story. So I had vertigo on the Friday, and then Saturday it was like a blur. Like I just had to rest. I mean, I took a shower and that was a lot. My body like hurt, and it was just telling me like, you cannot do anything. I didn't even go outside. So I showered. That was the bonus. And then Sunday, I didn't go outside either. And, you know, I'm the queen of like, let's get fresh air. I always have my window open in my room, which is probably why I'm clearing my throat. There's a tree outside. I forget what it is, but every now and then I sound like a cigar smoking man because of my allergies. Excuse me. So, that Sunday I was still home. I hung out with my roommate, and then Monday I took a shower, got ready, and like got the hell out of the house because I was like ready to lose it. But that whole time I just was still. I literally binged a bunch of shows in that whole entire weekend, which I'm going to share because, you know, I love to share the shows I'm watching. And I also really need to get back into my books because that's something I'm going to look back on and say, I had all this time and I didn't read those books. I'm up drinking wine, but I don't read the book. So that's really something I want to work on for myself, because I really don't want to look back and say, I can't believe I didn't do that throughout this whole time, right? So I was just still. And, you know, I'm the queen of self-care. I do the hair masks. I do the face masks. I do all that stuff. But when you need to take time to be alone, like learning how to spend time alone, like the importance of spending time alone and just being still is very difficult, I can tell you. And when I was sick and I was in bed, like I had no choice. And I was like on all these drugs, so they were making me crazy. And I was, you know, in another mind frame where now I just wake up like, oh my God, I get to wake up. I can conquer the world. Like that's literally how I feel every day. And I just had to rest. My body was just exhausted. That vertigo threw me for a loop. And then I was like, this can't happen. I can't be stressed to the point where I'm out for 3 days. And granted, I run a business. I can work from my bed because I've done that for a long time when I was sick. And I'm so grateful that I have that. And I've created that opportunity, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit, how you can create yours. But I'm very lucky I get to do that. And luckily that weekend, I didn't have work I had to do. I had a crazy busy week and I banged it all out. And then usually on Sundays, I like to get ahead of myself, especially now because I have a lot of shows I'm working on. So I was just still. And I felt so different after that. Like, I think I needed that to be like, stop, slow your roll, do nothing. You just need to rest. And I know it's hard to hear this, especially if you're running around and you have kids and you're homeschooling and it's like madness. But a lot of my friends have children, and I'm telling you, if you don't take the time for yourself first, you're not going to be your best that you can for your kids. It's just common sense. You have to get up earlier. Even if it's 15 minutes to meditate, you will feel so much better. And when my friends do this and my clients do this, they tell me, it just makes sense. And so now I want to tell you, share with you rather, the shows that I binged, because they're really good. And also one I'm on now, one I'm working on right now. Because this show wouldn't be, right if I didn't share like what I was watching. People ask me all the time. So one of my shows I watched was Dead to Me Season 2. It had come out that weekend or that week maybe, Thursday or Friday, I forget. And I watched the whole season 2. And when you get to the end of a season and you're like, how is there going to be another season 3? Like, what else can they do to like bring this show back? And then the last episode happened. And then I realized, oh my God, I cannot wait for season 3. So if you guys are watching that, let me know, because it's so good. And you're like, oh my God, seriously? Like, the last episode, always a cliffhanger, of course. So I'm pretty sure season 3 is happening. Another show I watched on Amazon is called Upload, and it's all AI, and they get uploaded to like a digital world, which is their heaven. And it was very interesting, and I binged that over that weekend as well. It's so good. It's on Amazon Prime. And then I watched Never Have I Ever. That was really good on Netflix. Dead to Me is also on Netflix. And then what else? I watched this show on Hulu that is on ABC called The Baker and the Beauty, and it's super cute. It's almost like a R-rated Hallmark movie, like a romantic comedy kind of thing. It's really good. They filmed it in Puerto Rico. It's based, the show is supposed to be based in Little Havana and Miami, and then it made me miss my Miami life from years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I really miss Miami. Even though everything there was in Puerto Rico, they cut a lot of stuff out, but you can kind of tell if you've been to both. So that was really good. And now a show I'm watching is called Sweet Magnolias on Netflix. It's so cute. I think I'm on episode 4 or 5. I think episode 4. There's probably like 8 or 10. And then you guys, after that, like, I really need to get to my books, because I have a bunch of, I don't know what books you are reading, but I really want to finish Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. I really want to finish You Are Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And then I have these warrior goddess books that a friend of mine got me. I'm staring at my books right now, and I really need to read them, because like I said, I'm going to look back at this pandemic and be so annoyed with myself, because that's one of my goals. So that's the first part of today's show I wanted to share with you. The importance of sitting down and being still, and a recap of what I do for self-care. And that to me now is just being still. And it does wonders. Being still, having time alone, and getting sleep has like changed my life. And when I say like being alone, I'm always alone. I mean, I have a roommate, but like I'm in my zone, she's in her zone. Like, I'm alone a lot if I don't go see my friends. And right now I'm not seeing any of my friends that are here. So being alone is like being alone with your thoughts, like journaling things out, meditating, breathing. Maybe if you want to do a sound bath, I'm doing a lot of those now, and I'm going to sleep with them, and it's insane. I'm out cold within like 2 minutes. So really taking the time to be attentive to like your own self. If you want to meditate more, if you want to journal things out more, just be alone with like your thoughts. Lock yourself in a closet. I have clients that record their podcasts in their car and in their closet right now, because their kids are home, and it works. And they sound great. And my closet has now become my recording studio. I'm actually sitting in bed right now, which is why you can hear the birds, the window's wide open. But normally I go in the closet, but I hear people underneath me, and we're on the top floor. And I can hear them in the hallway and then underneath me when I'm in my closet, and it's early. So I could hear them and it was like echoing. So I figured you guys would enjoy the background of the birds instead. So, keep daydreaming, keep journaling, keep visualizing things, but more importantly, take the time to rest and be still and be with your own thoughts and be alone, like literally alone with like what you are thinking, and write it down. I'm sharing these things with you because they help for me, and I guarantee they're going to help you. Now, during this pandemic, we all have goals, right? Like I mentioned earlier, at first we're freaked out. Then we realized like we have a new world. Now we want to like get tasks done, do all the projects. I mean, you've seen it everywhere. Everybody online is doing all their DIYs, their life hacks, like getting organized, like all this stuff, right? So when it comes to business, what are things that you're working on? I've had so many people ask me about business. Like, I really want to start a business now. What kind of business should I do? And my first question is, what do you want to do? I would never do anything I didn't want to do. What is the point? If you're not waking up being grateful and excited about what it is you do, don't just do it for the money. You can, but you're not going to be happy. Maybe the money will bring you happiness, but why do you want to wake up and do something if you just left a job or you're laid off and now you have an opportunity to start something of your own that doesn't, I'm going to steal this from, what's her name, Marie Kondo, bring you joy. You need to be happy about what you're doing. You need to take this time to do your research, to, figure out, like, is this the type of business I want to do? Or do I want to do something completely different that I've never tried before? If you ask any entrepreneur, they've always started a business that didn't work. Something has failed, and that's what makes us better and stronger entrepreneurs, because we take the lessons that we've learned from those businesses or brands or projects or whatever it is that we're working on and move it to the next and make it better, or discontinue that. Figure it out. That's the whole thing about entrepreneurship, is you've got to always be on your toes and be able to figure shit out. That is how you get to where you want to go. Excuse me. So my advice to you when you're doing the most throughout this pandemic, and when you want to do the most, is write down your goals. Every single thing I want, I write down, I visualize it, it's written, and I end up crossing that off. You see all these things where everybody has their vision boards and everything comes true. When you start to visualize things more, for me personally, I write it down. I've been wanting to be on another podcast for a while, and I was waiting for my new media kit to be updated. So I had the name on the list, and guess what? They contacted me before I contacted them. And something else I wanted to do throughout this pandemic, because I had a goal of doing a TEDx speech 2 months ago, and that didn't work out, obviously. So now I am looking to speak at other events, like really large events. So I've pitched myself to 2. That's crossed off the list. I'm staring right at it. I've written it down. I've written down the title of my speech, what I want you to take away from it, and so much more. So when you write things down, they become more of a reality. For me, especially, like every single thing I've ever written down, every single thing I want, I write it down, and it's on my wall so that I can see it. They're like I have Post-its, I have calendars, I have many lists. My friends make fun of me, you and your damn lists. Listen, I have a list for everything, and that shit gets crossed off, whether it's going to the grocery store or manifesting what the hell I want out of my business and my life. I cross it off. And if you follow me on Instagram stories, you know exactly what my office looks like, because I post it all the time with all my boards, all my calendars, all my posts, like literally everything is there. So if you need some kind of a system, just, go on Pinterest, get some inspiration. You can look at my Instagram stories. Just do whatever works best for you, but write your goals down. So for me, throughout this whole crazy pandemic, I would like to be done with my legal case. I would like to be done with my medical product, although I have to push that if the case isn't done. And then I'm really working on my credit. I would like the best credit score possible. That's my new life goal. And then also read these 2 books. Just two. That's my only goal, is just to get through these two books. And so I'm writing them down. So every day I have to work towards that. So with my legal case, every single day it's written in my planner that every single day I contact them. With my medical product, I'm continuously doing research and working on the product. On my credit, I'm always looking at my credit score. And then I have all those, I use Credit Sesame and TransUnion, and there's another one I use. And it's constantly helping me build, because I've invested in these loans that help build your credit and all this stuff. So I'm working towards that every day. The books, however, are a different situation. Like, I need to get on the book train, especially because everybody I see is posting their books. And I'm like, why aren't I reading my damn books? They're literally right next to my bed. So I'm writing everything down. When it comes time to, maybe you are somebody that's looking to maybe launch a blog or a business or do something brand new, because everything is shifted right now. So many people and companies, like, everyone's working from home, and it's going to continue that way. Like, I'm sure you've heard the news and seen everything online. It makes more sense. Like, people are getting work done being at home. So, like, why would that change? Companies are saving money and insurance money and, like, so much more by having employees work from home. Isn't making us crazy because we have like 5,000 Zoom calls every day? Yeah, probably. But it's not going to be as crazy, because that's going to be the new normal. And then we can set new guidelines and put more things into place that will work better for all of us, right? So knowing your worth and knowing how to create incredible opportunities for yourself are very, very important. I've had so many people, I did an episode on this the other day about free consultations. I see so many coaches online that give away 30, 60 minutes of their time. Why are you doing that? 15 minutes is okay, but no one gets me on the phone unless they pay. And my time is worth a lot of energy and money. And when I get on a call, prospective client call, if they're serious, they don't have a problem paying for my call, because that money goes towards a program. So at the end of the day, it's not an additional cost. It's like a little deposit. But when I started doing that with anybody, some didn't want to pay. And I'm like, okay, well, it's totally fine with me. I completely understand. Everything you need is on my website. So just take more time and do your research. That's my biggest pet peeve, when people don't research. And I did another episode on that about pitching. Like, you really need to do your research when it comes to any kind of business. And when that happens, you will really be one step ahead of the game. You need to take the time to do that. Now, knowing your worth, how much are you worth? What is your time worth? Well, would you like to waste 30 or 60 minutes on a free call when you're paying a babysitter? In our new world, but you could do that. Or somebody to watch your kids. You just wasted that money paying a babysitter, and then you didn't close that sales call. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't work out. You should have had them do everything that they needed in regards to research and messaging them and letting them know. Then close the deal when you're on the call. That just makes complete sense. So you need to really value your own time. I have a very strict schedule where I only get on the phone, whether it's with, conference calls or recordings. It's 2 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday. That's it. All my other clients that I deal with every other day is fine, because they're already my clients, but no one will get me on the phone other than a Wednesday or Thursday, with the exception of like certain things that cannot be rescheduled. Like, I'm doing a big LinkedIn training for a client and her entire sales team. And actually, we did end up moving that to Wednesday. So that's still Wednesday, but I was going to do it early Tuesday morning for her. So certain things, like, you can't move scheduling wise, that's fine. But other than that, I have a very strict schedule. I have one link to book my calls. You can then pay and then get me on the phone. And that's just something that that's just an example of knowing your worth. Like, it just doesn't make sense for me to get on a call with somebody and go over everything that's available on my website. It's the same thing. In that hour, I could have produced a show. I could have written a new Medium blog post. I could have, prepped a new batch of soup. Like, that shit's really important to me. So when I waste 1 hour of my day, I'm not happy. It's really annoying. So you have to be really strict with your own time. And then again, that really goes back to, spending time alone with your own thoughts and figuring out, like, where do I want to go after this pandemic? What do I want to accomplish throughout all of this? You need to write it down. You need to know your worth. And now, how do you create that incredible opportunity? Again, doing research. If you want to say, move into like retail arbitrage on Amazon, something you've never even heard of, something you think that you'd be really good at, it's like pivoting your business. It's like doing a rebrand. Try something new. What do you have to lose? I mean, don't invest a ton of money, but if you don't try it, you never know if it's going to work or not. Every single career, every single job I've created that opportunity. I wanted to do makeup on cruise ships. It didn't exist. I created that program. I wanted to work on a certain number of yachts and jets, and I did that. I wanted to create a certain number of podcasts, which was 20. I'm almost there. I wanted to, create these luxury experiences for private jet owners and charter guests to walk off their plane and experience when they were in Las Vegas. I did 32 of those, 32 or 33. I think it's 32. I created that. I did my research, for example, who I needed to speak to, who was the head honcho at every, whether it was Wynn or Encore or Bellagio or Aria, whatever the destination, or even high-end retailers. I was doing something with Hermes. I was doing something with Chanel. I was doing something with all these other experiences in Vegas. I got on LinkedIn. I researched who they were. I got their connection request, and then I would send them a message, and I would tell them, like, look, this is what I'm looking to do. Like, can we meet for a coffee? Can I buy you a coffee or a tea? And can I discuss this with you? And if it's not for you, like, who can I speak to in your department? That's how I created all of these experiences. There's no other way that you could have gotten that done. And the reason why I did that is because it didn't exist. I'm the queen of creating shit that doesn't exist or needs to exist. Because why wouldn't you? Some don't. Like, a really good friend of mine, she's very operational in her mind, and I'm very, like, I want to create all day. I'm like, I can't deal with the ops part. Although I do, because it's part of my business. But my number one thing is, like, wake up and I want to create something new, like, all the time, whether it's new time, new money, new recipe. Like, I've just always been like that my whole life. So in order for you to create incredible opportunities, you need to do your research. Whatever it is, sit down, write it down. Again, manifest it, visualize it happening. This is what I did the whole time I was sitting in a chemo chair. Just bring me back to San Diego. I want to be by the beach. I would listen to the ocean waves on an app the whole time. And here I am, living that life. And I tell people that all the time. And at the time, I didn't realize I was doing it. And now looking back, and I'm like, all I wanted to do was just live by the ocean again and heal my body. And here I am, doing the exact thing. So that's why it comes down to, writing everything down, because once you put it on paper, it's like instilled in your brain. And then it really helps you to another level, visualize it. Like, you can really start seeing things when they're in front of you. So do your research and write down, like, what your goals are. Who do you want to contact? How are you going to get this done? Maybe you want to create a business plan. Maybe you want to create a marketing plan. Look at the social media handles, look at the .coms. Creating with names is like the hardest. I have clients that are still trying to come up with podcast titles for their show. And as soon as a good one comes, the .com is taken. So that's something I always suggest is whenever you think of an amazing idea, go to GoDaddy and buy the .com. You can get it for literally 99 cents for the first year. And it just, you never know. I actually know quite a few people that were flipping domains. When .vegas came out, everybody was buying those domains, and they would flip them. They would sell them. They'd buy them for $100 and sell them for like $250. It was nuts. So you can always, I have some domains for sale because I've bought so many over the last decade that you can actually sell your domains. That's the whole flipping process. So, that's another process, but you can definitely sell your domains if you invest and then you don't want it you never know who's going to come along and want it. So it's basically like when you go to GoDaddy or wherever you buy your domains from, or have seen other people buy their domains from, and that domain is not available and there's a big price tag, that's why. Especially, or it's like a really common name. People are selling domains. So you just need to really focus on yourself first and foremost in order to be successful at moving towards a business, or, doing a rebrand or starting something new, or just even the research. That part takes so much time and energy, and you really need to spend the most time doing the research, because what if maybe you find something along the way, you're like, I don't think I'm really going to want to do that anymore. So that's another reason why, obviously research your competition, see what else is out there, see if maybe you can even partner up with somebody. And then when you are starting something new, a business, the first thing people do is they look at your story. So this is the importance that I've said this a million times of sharing your story. The power of sharing your story and being able to help just one other person will make you feel like the most amazing person on the planet. You are helping others feel better about themselves. This is why I'm obsessed with creating shows for other women and men, because they now have this platform to share their story, to share their dreams, their business, their real life in real time, sometimes real time, because they're doing it live as well. But I get to help other people do that. That's something that didn't exist when I launched it. Now there's all these podcast producers, podcast coaches. But, the other day I was talking to somebody, and I do so much more than it's hard to explain. When somebody asks me, or somebody comes to me, they ask me a couple questions and they're like, so you just produce? I'm like, oh no, this is like a complete done for you service. I go back and forth with clients so many times when we are perfecting their scripts for their intro and outro and the show description. When I write show notes, I send them to clients for approval. I go above and beyond always, because that's just who I am as a person. I'm obsessed with providing the best service I can, but I'm doing what I love. I'm writing. For me, some days I have to write, and then some days I have to record, and then the next day I have to produce. I can't do it all in one day. I'm trying not to. Last week and this week, a couple times I did have to, and it's difficult for me. I get through it, but I'd much rather have a whole day where I can create and write. Another day is just recording. Another day is just producing. But sometimes I have two days of producing, because I have a lot of shows, and I have to break up things in between my conference calls, or my Wednesday, Thursday recordings and calls. So really, figuring out your own rhythm and schedule, that's something else I'd really recommend. Knowing how you work, how is my brain going to be at its best today? So sometimes when I have a really long day of producing, it's rough. When I wake up, I'm energized and ready to go, and then I'm like, deep breath, this is going to be a really long day. I have to take breaks, because my eyes, I just can't be staring at the screen for 10, 12 hours, So going back to sharing your story, this is how my whole show started. This is how my brand started. Everything I do in my business was me sharing my story. And if you are somebody that has a story to tell, you need to tell it. And everybody has a story. And maybe it's not time to tell your story. Maybe you need to take the time now and write about it. Write a journal, write a blog, write everything private. Just get it out of your mind and get it on paper. You never know what's going to happen by sharing your story. Just last night, I was doing a new sound bath meditation, and I was curious if she was on Instagram, because I couldn't see it. There's multiple pages in the apps. And so I just put her name on Instagram because I couldn't find the icon. So I found her, and then she had this crazy story. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to have her on my show, because it's for holistic healers, the professional patient. And so I'm going to pitch her today. I'm like, you need to share your story with my audience. You guys are going to be so inspired by her. And her sound bath healing is absolutely incredible as well. My client actually told me about this app. It's called Alo Moves, Alo Yoga, ALO. And it's $20 a month, and they have meditations and a ton of yoga. But I was going on there for the sound bath because she said she was out cold. And now that I'm doing it, I'm out cold. It's just something about God, I don't even know. It's absolutely incredible. I talked to a couple of people and they've done a sound bath in person, and some get anxious, some cry, some get really hot, some get really irritable. Like, it's really different when you're trying to heal what happens throughout that process. I can tell you a whole nother show worth of that, but it's just crazy. So again, she's sharing her story. There's another, oh my God, it's just crazy. Like, the amount of people that have contacted me, like, if it wasn't for you sharing your story, I wouldn't have done X, Y, and Z, or even like medically. Like, I'm not a medical expert, but when I say how to organize your records and people actually go do that, it's just like a whole nother world, you guys. So I want you to just really write down your main goals of this pandemic. Like, what do you want to say? Oh my God, you know what I did that pandemic? I read X amount of books. I got X amount of clients. I cleaned X amount of rooms and, donated a lot of stuff, cleaned up my house, organized a garage. I want you to come out of this looking back saying, I did that. And so that's what I'm working on personally. So I wanted to share with you guys because it will really help. And then after you write down the things like that you want to work on that are, pick 3 goals that you have to accomplish. And then, are they going to make you happy? Are they going to make you money? Are they going to help you, in a business, or to help support your family? Or, just write it down. I'm telling you, everything I've written down over the last couple of months has become a reality. So that's just a prime example. And then going back to your time, if you need time, hide in your closet. If you need time, take a bubble bath. If you need time, sit in your car, go for a drive, put the windows down, scream, blast your music, whatever it is you need to do. Take that time to be alone with yourself and your own thoughts so that you guys can figure out what it is that you want. So many people have spent all this time reflecting about our past lives, our future lives, how we want to become a better person, how we want to become a less chaotic, run down person. Now is the time to figure that out, because it's going to be, I'm not going to say going back to normal. Like, what is our new normal? We don't even know that yet. But when the time comes and we go there and we can look back, I promise you're going to feel so good about yourself, because you are going to look at those lists that you wrote down and they're all going to have check marks or lines through them, because you've accomplished them. So figure out a schedule, do your research, spend time with yourself, and know your worth, and know that you can accomplish anything that it is that you want in your life or your business, because I have. And if I can, you can. So I wanted to just kind of merge these 2 shows together and share with you guys like the importance of spending time alone, and then what my goals are and how I'm doing the most. And when you are doing the most, sometimes you also need to step it back a little bit. Like, don't go crazy with everything you're trying to accomplish. Block it out in time. So however you work best, either wake up earlier before your kids, or work late night, or just time block in between. Figure out what's working for you so that you can be the best for yourself and your friends and your families and your children. And I just hope that you guys take a couple points away from this show, because I'm just sharing with you what's working with me. And it's just crazy to see, like, I keep crossing off all these things on my list, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to add more. And it just feels really good. And I've just made a lot of changes in my life, like throughout this pandemic, that I really wanted to share. And then things that I knew I had to do, and then shows I know I had to binge. Because if I can do it, you guys can do it. I promise you. Like, that's the whole point of the show. That's the whole point of me sharing all of this. So I can help you get to that next level where you guys want to be at, whether it's in your personal life or in your business, or you want a business. Scroll back. I have a ton of episodes more on that. But I hope you guys have a safe, healthy, you're staying nice and sane and 6 feet away from others. It's so important. Especially this weekend. It's a long weekend. There's going to be lots of beaches. I would kill to go to the beach and lie out, and we're not allowed. So, there's that. But maybe soon. Maybe soon. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you again soon. Your time is so valuable, and I really appreciate you carving out a little piece of your day to listen to today's episode. If you liked this one, please share it with someone who you feel needs to hear this message. And don't forget to tag me at the Happy Workaholic on Facebook and Instagram so I can feature you on my stories. Listening on Apple Podcasts? I would love it if you would leave me a review on today's show. Your input means so much and also helps me create more of the content you'll love. Want to continue today's conversation? You can join us in the Happy Workaholic Network Facebook group. Simply answer the questions and you're in. For more information on myself and to get the latest in business, LinkedIn, organizing, and podcasting news, sign up to receive my weekly newsletter at thehappyworkaholic.com. I hope that your day continues to be happy, healthy, positive, and productive, and I'll talk to you again soon.